At 91, I've spent the last 15 years living by myself. After my husband Arthur passed away, everyone fretted over me. Evelyn, you'll feel so isolated. Evelyn, perhaps move nearer to the children. Evelyn, you really ought to venture out more often. Yet here we are, 15 years later. I never relocated. I rarely leave the house. And truthfully, I feel utterly, deeply, blissfully content. Loneliness has never touched me. In fact, it never has. I suspect many others out there resemble me. Folks who thrive in solitude yet sense something must be amiss, because society insists everyone craves constant company. That's why I decided to pass along the lessons I've gathered. Here are 5 gentle suggestions for embracing solo living without a hint of loneliness. Perhaps one will resonate with somebody. The foremost insight, truly the cornerstone, lies in recognizing that solitude and loneliness stand worlds apart. You might dwell entirely alone, yet feel perfectly at peace. Conversely, you could be encircled by crowds and still ache with profound isolation. I've witnessed each side. Loneliness stems from meaningful bonds, not mere nearness. It hinges on feeling truly seen, comprehended, and cherished. A single heartfelt conversation weekly can fulfill that need. A gathering of 100 might leave you entirely untouched. Thus, the real question shifts away from wondering if solitude overwhelms. Instead, it becomes, do I possess connections that truly count? These inquiries lead in different directions. Every Sunday, I speak with my daughter Lydia for 20 minutes, perhaps stretching to 30. For me, that suffices beautifully. Others may crave more interaction, and that's perfectly valid. Yet never presume endless companionship is essential simply because it appears to suit most. Discover what your heart genuinely requires. Often it's far less demanding than imagined. The second suggestion involves crafting a steady rhythm. Sharing space with others naturally weaves structure into each day. Shared meals, casual exchanges, the gentle pull of another's timetable. Living solo means you must shape that framework intentionally. Without it, days melt into one another indistinctly. Each morning I rise at 7. I prepare tea in the same cherished mug, the same blend, seated in the familiar window chair. For roughly 20 minutes I observe the birds visiting my feeder. Next comes the newspaper, then breakfast follows. It may strike some as dull, yet it holds no monotony for me. This pattern anchors me. It quietly declares that today possesses form and purpose. While Arthur lived, dinner arrived at 5:30 to match his hunger. Once he was gone, I discovered evenings often left me uninterested until 7, so I adjusted accordingly. That small shift felt liberating in its simplicity. Claiming my personal cadence rather than echoing another's brought quiet joy. When you reside alone, the power to choose belongs entirely to you. That isn't isolation, it's true freedom. Third, nurture something that depends upon your presence. In my case, it's my cat Beatrice. At 11 years old, she possesses remarkably strong opinions. She demands her breakfast precisely at 7:15. Any delay prompts an immediate vocal reminder. A living creature isn't required. Perhaps houseplants, a small garden, or birds you nourish regularly. Anything breathing that relies on your daily attention. Such responsibility gently urges you from bed, even when motivation wanes. And yes, those unmotivated mornings will arrive, yet having a gentle obligation proves remarkably supportive. I also maintain a simple bird journal. Each visitor to the feeder gets recorded, date, time, kind, and number. It might seem whimsical, but it offers something delightful to anticipate and observe. Solo living calls for elements that draw your focus outward. Otherwise, the silence deepens and thoughts begin to circle inward too tightly. The fourth piece of advice may surprise some. Choose companions with care. Living independently limits your social reserves. You cannot afford to squander them on draining souls or on ties that merely fill space with empty chatter. I treasure just 3 dear companions. Clara from services, our friendship spanning 6 decades, Edith from the reading group, and my neighbor Florence, 84, and savoring her own quiet home. That's the entirety. 3 souls whose voices I welcome warmly, who truly understand my essence, whose company brings genuine delight. Such depth surpasses the effort required for 20 superficial connections. For years I carried guilt, believing I ought to seek wider circles, busier schedules, greater gatherings. But time has taught me that depth far outweighs breadth. 1 genuine conversation holds more value than 10 courteous exchanges. 1 true friend who truly understands you outweighs 20 who merely recognize your name. If you lean toward introversion, allow yourself the grace of a compact circle. There is absolutely nothing flawed in that choice. The final suggestion, and perhaps the most essential, is this: you must genuinely enjoy your own presence. Because when solitude becomes your daily companion, you spend every moment in your own company. If that company feels unbearable, solo living turns into quiet torment. If you find delight in it, the experience becomes truly enriching. This realization arrived slowly for me. For years, I viewed myself as overly reserved, unexciting, excessively fond of staying home. I measured myself against more extroverted souls and convinced myself I was approaching existence incorrectly. I wasn't mistaken. I was simply navigating it in my own manner, and that manner carries no fault. I savor quiet mornings with a book, cherish my first cup of tea, delight in observing feathered visitors, stroking my cat, and retiring early each evening. Lively gatherings hold no appeal for me, nor does superficial chatter. I have no interest in constant motion simply to appear occupied. Now at 91, I have at last ceased offering apologies for any of those preferences. If solitude feels challenging for you, pause and reflect. Are you truly aching from lack of companionship? Or does the difficulty arise because you believe loneliness ought to accompany your circumstances? These represent entirely separate struggles. The first calls for deeper bonds. The second simply requires self-granted approval to embrace a gentler, more subdued existence than society insists everyone should pursue. I do miss Arthur deeply. 47 years together leaves a vacant seat at the table that remains forever unoccupied. Yet longing for someone differs entirely from loneliness. I hold him close within me. Thoughts of him fill my days, yet my life continues richly in his absence. A changed existence from the one we shared, but rich and complete nonetheless. My children sometimes fear I've become too withdrawn. I comprehend their concern, yet withdrawn is not the truth. I simply prefer stillness. My days hold their familiar pattern: my cat, my reading, my birds, my 3 cherished companions. Sunday conversations with Lydia arrive like clockwork, and the grandchildren bring warmth at Christmas. What I have feels sufficient, truly more than sufficient. Certain souls are naturally suited to solitude. I belong among them. Perhaps you do as well. And if that describes you, hear this clearly. Nothing is amiss within you. You are not defective. You are not lacking some universal ingredient others possess. You are simply designed for serenity. And serenity, when welcomed, can craft a profoundly beautiful existence. So, those 5 gentle reminders once more. Distinguish clearly between being alone and feeling lonely. Establish your own steady rhythm. Nurture something that relies on your care. Select your companions with thoughtful discernment. And above all, find harmony within your own company. That completes my thoughts. My afternoon tea awaits, and Beatrice is staring as though I've delayed far too long already. Take care.